Video. Gracias.
Hi, I'm Geraldine Downey. I'm the Director of the Centre for Justice. And welcome, everybody. We're delighted to have you here tonight. Before we start into the performance in a few minutes, I want to start by introducing the Director of Columbia World Projects, Dr. Wafa El-Sadar, who will welcome us to this wonderful space.
And thank you very much, Geraldine. It's a pleasure to be here and to welcome you all today for this remarkable event. As Geraldine says, I'm the Executive Vice President for Columbia Global. I'm also the Director of Columbia World Projects. And Columbia World Project, just to tell you a little bit about it, it's CWP for short. It's an initiative at the university that really aims to take the work of scholars and others at the university and to take them into action, to take them to try to solve major global social challenges, not just around the world, but right here in our own backyard. So we really are thrilled to be co-hosting this event with Columbia Center for Justice and Columbia Center for Contemporary Critical Thought. I think we are engaged with the Center for Justice, Geraldine Center, in a partnership to try to actually examine some of the work that they're doing and learn from the amazing work that the Center is doing right here with all of you and many others. And I think this is a unique initiative, the work at the Center for Justice, and is designed and led by people who have lived experience to not only make a difference for the lives of individuals, but also on the systems and structures that impact our communities. I'd like to then thank, of course, all the poets and musicians and artists and others who made this performance a reality. I think to the organizers of this event, and of course to all of you for joining us here today. At CWP, we genuinely, truly cherish collaborations across disciplines, collaboration across various communities, collaborations across different stakeholders. And I think this is an example of the kind of work that we really value and want to support. So with this, I'd like to hand it back to Geraldine and say again, welcome to the forum.
Thank you, Wafa. And again, we're so appreciative of being able to have this event take place in this great space, and for all the collaboration that the Columbia World Projects has engaged with us in. So let me just tell you a little bit about the Center for Justice. The mission of the Center is ending mass incarceration and mass criminalization, and in advancing approaches to public safety and justice through efforts that are centered on prevention and healing. The Center is the realization of the vision of my colleagues, Cheryl Wilkins and the Kathy Bodine, who is looking down upon us today. This was a vision that they had when they were incarcerated in Bedford Hills. And when they came home, they put the vision into action. So our team is led and invests in the leadership of people who have been impacted by the criminal legal system, whether people who are incarcerated or people who are from communities from which most of the people who end up in prison come. We partnered throughout the university and the community to move justice beyond the punishment paradigm through education, research, policy, and public engagement. And public engagement is what we're doing tonight. Echoes of Attica is a music theatre piece about the 1971 Attica prison revolt. It's performed by formerly incarcerated actors and musicians. And the aim is to raise awareness about the relevance of Attica to the current outbreak of state violence against communities of colour, and to remind us of the continuing responsibility of all of us to work towards a world where prisons are obsolete. The piece was written and directed by Ron Jenkins, a professor of theatre at Wesleyan University, who's currently a senior fellow at the Yale Divinity School. And the idea of bringing Echoes of Attica to Columbia was hatched at the Beyond the Bars conference last April. And that was when one of our Centre for Justice colleagues, Dario Pena, who is also works at to get students through the very difficult Justice Through Code program, and who's one of the actors in the production tonight. And he introduced us to Ron and said, wouldn't it be wonderful to have a production of Echoes of Attica here at Columbia? I'm just going to tell you this, we've got another opportunity for Dario's wonderful work to be performed somewhere else. Claudia Rincon, who is the Centre's Associate Director, and her team, Brianna Fuentes, Jonathan Bagmartin, and Jessica, translated this great idea into reality. And so we thank them, and we also thank the sponsors, the co-sponsors of this event tonight who made it possible. Professor Jean Howard, who is here with us from the English Department, and who is the chair of the Justice and Education Faculty Advisory Panel. Bernard Harcourt from the Centre for Contemporary Critical Thought at the School of Law. Kelly Jones, the chair of the Department of African American and Diaspora Studies, and May Nye, the co-director of the Centre for the Study of Ethnicity and Race. I'm going to turn you over to Ron now, but I want to remind you that there'll be a question and answer and discussion after the production, and there will also be refreshments. So now, Ron, here you are.
Thank you, Geraldine, and thank you, Claudia. Thank you, all the people, wonderful people at Columbia who have hosted this and made this possible, all the tech staff that worked so hard this afternoon to make everything run smoothly. So we appreciate the hospitality that you've given to us. The performance that you're going to see tonight is a documentary performance, which means that all the words that you hear are quoted verbatim from documentary sources about the Attica uprising. So there were declassified FBI files. You'll hear Dario, who Geraldine was talking about, play the role of the FBI agent sending all the reports to J. Edgar Hoover who was very disturbed about this. You'll hear the Nixon tapes. And some of the things you hear, you might think that we made them up because they're so awful, they're so unbelievable that you think it wouldn't happen, especially when you hear the transcript from the Nixon tapes. We'll hear President Nixon, former President Nixon, and former Governor Rockefeller congratulating each other on the massacre that they helped to perpetrate. And the racist things that they say are not things that we made up. They're things that you can listen to on the Nixon tapes. And other things. There are many, many words that we would not have chosen to use ourselves, but we want to be true to the documentary sources, so you'll hear the things the way they were spoken and written during the time of Attica. It's the truth of these documents brings us back to the words of Arthur Lyman. His report, the McKay report that he was responsible for organizing, is also one of our sources. And he said this, after spending more than a year researching what happened at Attica, he said, he was from the Yale Law School, he said, Attica made me feel in my gut the racism that was tearing out the soul of America. I was never the same after Attica. 25 years later, it seems that the bitter lessons of the uprising are once again being forgotten. The men and the women on stage here tonight are here because they agree with Arthur Lyman that the lessons of Attica have been forgotten and need to be remembered. Some of them have served time in prison, and the ones who have not been incarcerated have worked with currently or formerly incarcerated individuals. But the man here today who's most deeply committed to ensuring that Attica is remembered is Carlos Roche. He's here, and we're also honored to have other Attica brothers here with us tonight. But Carlos is the one who's going to introduce the play. His words are quoted in the play. He spent many hours with me talking about his experience. And he's here to say a few words of introduction and participate in the post-performance discussion. So please welcome Carlos Roche. here, so you can just turn around. And here's, you want to hold the microphone close to your mouth.
Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. This is the 51st anniversary of the Attica Rebellion, and it was like yesterday. You know, the things are still going on. You know, all over that went on in Attica in 1971. And it affects everybody, you know. It affects you, me, you know, and I'm an old man now, you know. I'm surprised that I'm still here to be talking to you tonight, you know. Well, anyway, watch the play and enjoy yourself, but believe it, it's very, very relevant, you know. Thank you.
Turn around.
The four-day insurrection at New York's Attica State Prison came to a tragic end this morning. Negotiations gave way to force, and at least 37 men died. 9 guards and 28 prisoners, making this the bloodiest prison incident the country has seen in 4 decades.
In the center yard, we got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts, but we need to talk. We got demands. Die like a man, last resort of our plan. Gotta meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts, but we need to talk. We got demands. Die like a man, last resort of our plan. First thing we need is amnesty for this calamity. Can you guarantee that we make it home to our families? And humanity is the lens in which you branded me. Expecting different results, insanity, crazy. We demand adequate medical, I seen several. Residents die due to negligence, it's unethical. We demanding in the slave labor, we professionals. Working electrical but not a dime of the revenue. We demanding in the political persecution. The 13th time they amended the Constitution. Strictly for institutions, keep our necks in these nooses, yeah. Slow death in this execution, huh? Allow us to form a union. If productive citizens is the goal, you gotta prove it then. We got demands, gotta take a stand. Shame on this country once again for forcing our hand, but meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts, but we need to talk. We got demands, die like a man, last resort of our plan. Gotta meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts, and we need to talk. We got demands, die like a man, last resort of our plan. We demand legal representation to see parole, and every one of them seats should be filled through a vote. We demand accountability, COs want control, bring their problems into work from their homes, and we prone to be bound, laying prone on the hole on the stone where it's system overload, system overthrown. We need more diversity in the hierarchy. Black and brown people in authority that I can see. This is more reality. Old white men reigning over the society, normalize the proprieties. Am I developing traits that align with oppressors? Am I enveloped in hate, society's reflection? Shit, it's like we need to revolt, we need to vote, we need to do both. It's like a boat needing a hole. We done went from trees with the rope to knees to the throat. And then this rope taking its toll, they gotta meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts in. We need to talk. We got demands, die like a man, last resort of our plan. Gotta meet us in the yard. Yeah, we got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts in. We need to talk. We got demands, die like a man, last resort of the plan. Gotta meet us in the yard, last resort of the plan, yeah.
Immediate negotiations through William M. Kunstler, attorney at law.
We want the federal judiciary to guarantee complete amnesty to each and every one of us. We must be transferred to livable conditions. This is all we want.
We want to stop slave labor here. We want to allow all New York State prisoners to be politically active without intimidation or reprisal. We want true religious sanctity. We are political prisoners trapped in an economic trap by sin, 5 years because of color of our skin.
Those who are tired of the racist exploitation and brutalization of black people in this country, we have developed here what is called a revolutionary consciousness. And we're going to exercise our consciousness in reality.
We want a judicial shield and a continuing restraining order until the litigation is finally ended, without any reprisals or brutality against any inmates of this institution.
In 1970, the National Guard shot dead 4 students protesting the Vietnam War at Kent State University in Ohio. In 1971, the National Guard and the state police shot dead 29 men protesting the inhumane prison conditions at Attica State. And 50 years later, the killings has not stopped.
Attica is every prison.
And every prison is Attica.
The Atticas of our country have become lethal crucibles in which the most social explosive forces of our society have become mixed with the pettiness of prison life.
For inmates, correction meant daily degradation and humiliation, being locked in a cell for 14 to 16 hours a day, working for 30 cents a day in jobs with no vocational value, having to abide by hundreds of petty rules which they could see no justification.
They were told when to turn lights out and when to wake up. And even essential toilet needs had to be taken care of in view of patrolling officers. Visits from family were preceded and followed by strip searches, probing every orifice of the inmate's body.
Above all, correction meant an atmosphere charged with racism.
There was no escape.
At Attica, racial polarity and mistrust were magnified by the constant reminder that the keepers were white and the kept were largely black and Spanish speaking.
The young black inmate tended to see the white officer as the symbol of a racist system which put him behind bars. In the end, the promise of rehabilitation had become a cruel joke.
If anyone was rehabilitated, it was in spite of Attica, not because of it.
There was no rebuttal to the testimony of one inmate shortly after his release from Attica.
The taxpayers paid thousands of dollars per year to keep me incarcerated. They didn't get anything for their money. It was a waste.
Attica is every prison.
And every prison is Attica.
Official New York State Commission report on Attica.
Meet us in the yard. We got the guards, including the Sarge, only armed with our hearts, but we need to talk. We got demands. Die like a man, last resort of our plan.
To FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, subject, urgent, extremist matters. At approximately 9 a.m. on September 9th, 1971, over 1,200 inmates of the Attica Correctional Facility took command of the facility and captured 38 hostages, guards, and civilian employees. State officials have permitted a parade of revolutionary extremists to visit the prisoners to attempt to negotiate a settlement to secure release of the hostages. Included have been convicted Black Panther cutthroat Bobby Seale and convicted shyster and mouthpiece for New Left extremists William Kunstler. Ridiculous demands include release of all prisoners throughout the country, particularly jailed Black Panther leaders. It is obvious that New York State officials have lost control of the situation at Attica. Late news reports indicate, however, that officers may now be ready to storm the prison to regain control.
Now, there seems to be a little misunderstanding about why this incident developed here at Attica, and this declaration will explain the reasons. Now, the entire incident that has erupted here at Attica is not a result of the dastardly bushwhacking of 2 prisoners, but of the unmitigated oppression wrought by the racist administrative network of this prison throughout the year. We are men. We are not beasts, and we do not intend to be beaten or driven as such. Now, the entire prison populace, that means each and every one of us here, has set forth to change forever the ruthless brutalization and the disregard for the lives of the prisoners here and throughout the United States. Now, what has happened here is but the sound before the fury of those who are oppressed. We are firm in our resolve, and we demand, as human beings, the dignity and justice due to us by our right of birth. We do not know how the present system of brutality and dehumanization and injustice has been allowed to be perpetrated. But we are the living proof of its existence, and we cannot allow it to continue. The taxpayers, who have just happened to be our mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, daughters, and sons, should be made aware of how their tax dollars are being spent to deny their sons, brothers, fathers, and uncles of justice, equality, and dignity. We call upon all conscientious citizens of America to assist us in putting an end to this situation that threatens the lives of not only us, but of each and every one of you as well. We have set forth a list of demands that will bring us closer to the reality. Now, we demand the constitutional rights of legal representation. We demand the adequate visiting conditions and facilities for the families of Attica prisoners. We demand an end to the segregation of prisoners because of their political beliefs. We demand an end to the punishment of prisoners who practice peaceful dissent. We demand an end to racial presentation and the denial of prisoners' rights.
We need to talk. We got demands. Die like a man, last resort of our plan.
A poem was passed around by the men at Attica. If We Must Die, by Claude McKay. If we must die, let it not be like hogs, hunted and penned in an inglorious spot. Like men, we'll face the murderers, cowardly pack, pressed to the wall, dying but fighting back.
The helicopter, a small helicopter, came over the yard first, and it circled and went away. Now come on with it. If you want to kill us, you know we are ready to die.
At 9:46 a.m. on September 13th, 1971, New York State Corrections Commissioner Russell G. Oswald ordered the New York State Police to commence assault on cell blocks B and D.
Tactical Commander Captain Henry Williams ordered 2 CH-34 helicopters to fly over the yard. Zero in on targets, Williams said. A voice answered, "Jackpot 1 has made the drop." Williams then ordered the troopers, move in. As the snipers took aim with .270 caliber rifles, prisoners tried to escape the choking of fog of tear gas.
From the helicopters, instructions were being given to surrender by placing hands above the head. Instructions, "You will not be harmed," were repeated time after time. Blank said he placed his hands on his head and moved to D block wall. While proceeding as instructed, he observed an inmate leaving a tent shelter with hands on his head. Blank said he observed an officer on the catwalk raise a long gun rested on the railing and shoot this inmate. Blank observed a large pool of blood and presumed them to be dead. The identity of the officer is unknown. Blank pointing out that all officers were wearing helmets, gas masks, and plastic face shields.
A helicopter flew over the yard and told police to surrender and put their hands on their heads. And when it said a second time, they started opening up shooting. Now I got my leg shot off. State trooper walks over to me and says, "Well, you won't be rebelling no more, will you?" And he hit me on my leg with a gun. So the guy says, "Let's kill him." And so the other guy says, "No, we're not going to kill him. We're going to let him bleed to death." Now, some guys got pieces of their heads shot off. You read about Kent State, Jackson State, Martin Luther King. You know what they're going to do? You give people a license to kill you, people will kill you. What do you expect
Place your hands on top of your head and surrender to an officer. I repeat, you will not be harmed. I repeat, you will not be harmed.
It was a real nightmare when I saw the first helicopter. I had nightmares for years. I still have them. I had a nightmare about 3 weeks ago. I smell gas. I hear guns going off. It's that post-traumatic stress shit. 50 years ago, and I'll be 80 in 7 months. Carlos Roche.
I pray them choppers is coming to save us. But I know better, it seem like them copters is coming to spray us. Rather do that than continue to torture, degrade, and enslave us. And I hear them shots and I fall to my knees as I recite a prayer. They ain't coming to save us. Imagine a football placed under your chin. They say if you drop it, they going up a shotty and put some hot hollows deep under your skin. You laying exposed, they beat you for hours and you barely conscious. You numb to your limbs. I ain't just rapping. No, I ain't capping. That shit really happened. That's word to Big Blackin'. They strip you naked and burn up your flesh with non-menthol impressions. Play Russian roulette at your head and they make you watch every second. Beat on your testicles, various weapons. Shells whizzing by, hit your friend where his head is. I pray them choppers is coming to save us. But I know better, it seem like them copters is coming to spray us. Rather do that than continue to torture, degrade, and enslave us. And I hear them shots and I fall to my knees as I recite a prayer. They ain't coming to save us. You was just helpless. Torture for days made you crawl through the gauntlet. Pissing out blood for 2 years, gotta chalk it. They broke your feet and then told you to walk. And of course when you couldn't, they beat you regardless. Even though they were the causes. Getting new charges. Charged us for us getting slaughtered and tortured. I wish I could tell y'all this story less harsh, but truth is more stranger than fiction. The roots of the danger's the system. They shoot and they blaming the victim. Proof that the new Negro slave in the prison. Shit, ain't no grace or redemption. I pray them choppers is coming to save us. But I know better, it seem like them copters is coming to spray us. Rather do that than continue to torture, degrade, and enslave us. And I hear them shots and I fall to my knees as I recite a prayer. They ain't coming to save us. I pray them choppers is coming to save us. But I know better, it seem like them coppers is coming to spray us.
You have at least 88 people shot so severely that they need immediate surgery. Absolutely no preparation made to treat the inmates. No blood, no plasma, no bandage, no fluid, no painkiller, no surgical. Nothing, nothing, nothing. L.D. Barkley was shot. The shot collapsed his lung. He couldn't get medical treatment. He bled to death. Lisping lawyer.
To FBI Director John J. Edgar Hoover. Judge John Curtin denied the motion for court order permitting attorneys to enter Attica to ensure adequate medical attention for inmates.
When I got into D-Yard, I could only describe the situation as looking like the painting of Gettysburg. Physical and human debris lying about. I could see people having surrendered, hands on head being forced to lie down. Now, apparently the method employed to get them to lie down was to hit them with a club across the knees or in the genital area. I don't think anybody could have been prepared emotionally for the sight of the place shot up as badly as it was. Surgeon Cudmore.
Mr. Walter Dunbar, Executive Deputy Commissioner, New York State Department of Correctional Facilities, furnished the following information. During Operation Recovery, law enforcement officers exercised excellent self-discipline, judgment, and restraint. At no time did I observe police or correction officers line up inmates and beat them.
It just brought tears to my eyes. I mean, the prison riot was over, and they're taking out of all their aggressions on these people that were naked. It bothered me more than seeing the dead people, because these people were alive and being subjected to this kind of abuse.
Blank stated that he was struck by an officer on his left side with a club. Said he did not wish to make a statement as he had another 10 years to serve in state prison and did not wish to jeopardize his future. Blank said that he suffered from a beating as a result of the riot, but felt that the actions of their state troopers were entirely understandable.
Guys was begging for cause their throats was burning, and the police would urinate in styrofoam cups and tell them to drink it. That was Attica on the 13th. Yeah, Carlos Roche, Attica survivor.
The barbaric conduct, the beatings, the physical abuse, torture, running of gauntlets, and similar cruelty was beyond any force needed to maintain order. It far exceeded what our society will tolerate on the part of the officers of the law in custody of defenseless prisoners. Court injunction, inmate of Attica versus Rockefeller.
To Director Hoover, at the request of the Civil Rights Division, we are investigating the possible abuse of inmates in connection with the retaking of the Attica Correctional Facility.
Well, there was no medical treatment. They were coming around and they'd offer you an aspirin. And you'd bleed, but no other medication. There was no doctors. It was indiscriminate murder like stuff you see in concentration camps. It was random, like a turkey shoot. Blood everywhere. I was in the bottom of the hole and about 30, 40 guys was on top of me. I couldn't breathe because gas had went down in there. Guys was hollering, screaming, crying. I had blood all over me. I didn't feel hurt, but two guys that were on top of me were shot in the back, and they were dead. Carl Sudduth, Attica survivor.
To Director Hoover, all medical records obtained with the exception of cryptic medical notations made by some doctors. Blank requested time to analyze these notes, which he stated may or may not have significance, and will make available when time permits.
Now you can hear the shots coming off. Pow! 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 I walked by this guy, Kenny, I used to play cards with, and I'll never forget as long as I live. I'm thinking to myself, see, now, why does Kenny have on sunglasses? Because that's what they look like. Well, he was laying on the ground. His face was towards me, and I got closer to him. I could see that he didn't have on sunglasses. He didn't have no eyes. The back of his head was gone. They must have knocked his eye sockets out, and the blood had congealed almost like perfect circles. That was Kenny. We used to play cards together. His eyes were shot out, weren't there. George Mitchell, survivor.
Blank, the prison physician, advised that when the riot took place, notations were made by some doctors. Blank said that Blank had taken these records. Blank volunteered that he was not personally at Attica during the pertinent dates, as he was on vacation.
I, Blank, make the following free and voluntary statement to Blank and Blank, who have identified themselves as special agents of the FBI. On September 14th, 1971, I was ordered to leave my cell and stripped to be searched. I was then pushed down the stairs. As I ran along corridor A trooper hit me on the back of the head with a shotgun. An officer put leg shackles on me, and I was kicked in the privates. An officer held a club about an inch away from my face and asked me if I wanted my face busted. I was examined by a doctor. I told him I had been beaten and blood had come from my ear. I had headaches and wanted to be hospitalized. He gave me a pill for the headache and told me to get some rest. I'm signing this because it's true and correct.
Doctors regularly ask insulting questions, such as, "How do you know you have pain? I don't see any pain." If an inmate objected, he was often threatened with commitment to the psychiatric ward. There were often as many as 350 inmates on routine doses of various drugs, including tranquilizers. Inmates expressed the opinion that the medication they were getting was harmful to them. McKay report.
Blank said that he overheard an officer say, "Let's stop beating those guys. What do you think you're doing? Driving cattle?" Blank said he overheard another officer remark, "Look at all the asses sticking up. We ought to stick a club in each one of their asses."
I promise you this, scariest shit that ever exists is being in prison while physically sick. And if you got life to them, you already dead, so hopefully it'll be quick. I see my Sully start taking the meds, shit fucked me up when she seen to forget. And it's time she was slobbering, spitting, playing and shit. I promise you still, scariest shit that I seen on the hill. Being in prison and mentally ill, where they kill your will. Day after day, through pill after pill. You go bananas and slip on a pill. Stuck in a slammer, can't win a appeal. Can't even feel, so you really can't heal. Word to Camp Hill, ill. The infirmary, smelling like blood in the murder scene. Mixed with neglect, no sense of respect. We dying from no sense of urgency. We die from deliberate indifference, standard procedures and routine surgeries. We dying from constantly being denied our services purposely. Until we are ill on this terminally. Boy, this shit really murder in first degree. Screaming in vain, they don't believe in our pain. It's like we ain't bleeding the same. Serving our time, equate to deserving to die. Freedom will see at the grave. Wish we was free at the gate. Only way they can escape and see what remains is families receiving remains. I promise you this, scariest shit that ever exists. Being in prison while physically sick. And if you got life to them, you already dead, so hopefully it'll be quick. I see my Sully start taking the meds, shit fucked me up when she seemed to forget. Any time she was slobbering, spitting, playing and shit. I promise you still, scariest shit that I seen on the hill. Being in prison and mentally ill, where they kill your will. Day after day, through pill after pill. You go bananas and slip on a pill. Stuck in the slammer, can't win the appeal. Can't even feel, so you really can't heal. Word to Ham Hill, yeah.
During and subsequent to the investigation, Blank stated that he felt that this investigation was pointless since no action would be taken by any agencies involved.
The cover-up begins. New York Times front page, dateline September 13th, 1971. The rebellion at Attica ended this morning in a bloody clash. Hostages, prison guards, and civilian workers died when convicts slashed their throats with knives. Next day, front page. Autopsies show shots killed 9 Attica hostages, not knives. Yesterday, state correction officials asserted that the hostages had been killed by convicts in knife attacks. This morning, the Monroe County Medical Examiner said all died of gunshot wounds. There was no evidence of slashed throats.
September 20th, 1971. Urgent to FBI Director Hoover. Extremist matters. Special agents of the FBI observed approximately 70 individuals commence a demonstration in front of Governor Rockefeller's New York City office. Pickets chanted,
"Rockefeller murderer, tear down the jail!"
Special agents of the FBI observed a demonstration in Washington Square Park. Individuals wearing masks conducted a mock press conference between Governor Rockefeller and President Nixon talking about the Attica riot.
The cover-up continues. New York Times. The Governor Rockefeller said yesterday that the uprising in Attica was brought on by the revolutionary tactics of militants. Well, here's Rocky. The tragedy was brought on by the highly organized revolutionary tactics of militants who carried out cold-blooded killings. Rockefeller orchestrated a cover-up so that he would not be held accountable for the massacre he had ordered the state forces to commit. He immediately consulted with cover-up mastermind President Richard Nixon, who recorded their conversation. It's all in the tapes. Here's Tricky Dick speaking to his pal Rocky. I know you had a hard day, but I want you to know that I just back you to the hilt. Well, they were murdering the guards. Well, you did the right thing. Are these preliminarily blacks who you're dealing with? Well, oh yes, the whole thing was led by the blacks. Well, the word around is that this is a signal for the black uprising. You did the right thing. Well, they did a fabulous job. It was a beautiful operation. Well, I have great admiration for that efficient operation. Well, this separated the sheep from the goats. Well, I think it's going to have a hell of a salutary effect on future prison riots. Well, just like Kent State. Remember Kent State? Fabulous operation. Well, the courage you showed, it was right. You handled it well. It was worth it. The example you set for the other governors sends a message to the Angela Davis crowd. Were they all black? Everyone. Well, you know what stops them? Kill a few. One hell of a salutary effect. We gotta be tough.
To Director Hoover, Extremist Matters. Student Association, State University of New York, sponsored a program regarding Attica riot. Speakers were David Dellinger and John Freunds of the Chicago 7. Freunds stated prisoners are revolutionaries which must be followed, and stated that people must serve eviction notices on Governor Rockefeller and President Nixon. Dellinger stated that in answer to critics who would characterize the Attica prisoners as murderers, he stated that the chief murderer in the U.S. is President Richard M. Nixon.
Angela Davis testified today to the Senate in opposition to Nelson Rockefeller's confirmation as Vice President of the United States. Now, interrupted by a burst of applause, she compared Rockefeller's refusal to grant amnesty to the Attica rebels with his depiction of Nixon's pardon as an act of conscious compassion and courage.
How profoundly hypocritical this is, and how revealing of Rockefeller's true concept of justice and law. The regime of Richard Nixon did more to undermine constitutional government, subvert the democratic processes, and endanger the liberties of the people than any other single event in the recent history. And Mr. Rockefeller permitted state police and prison guards to stage one of the most wanton massacres in the history of the United States. Angela Davis.
Politics, power trips, contradict all kind of shit. Do dirt, cover up, pick them shovels up, say they cut them up. No shame for the governor, Rockefeller way worse than one of us. Nixon had great admiration, air quote effective operation. On the phone sounding so elated, sabotaging the investigation, fucking up the family compensation, signing papers while they in a daisy. Autopsies, can't find the truth, they all lying. Not a slit throat, just a sick joke, bullet wounds found in all bodies. All finals, fuck they all Nazis. Same state that employs you, be the same place that destroy you. Cover up, watch it bubble up, overflood the cup while it boils. Sufferers get another cut while the governor, he enjoy it. When it's done to us, they ignore it. Were they all black? Everyone. That's what they said on recording. Knowing that's gonna determine just how the media gonna report it. In turn, that determines just how the public, they gon' support it. For the power, for the dollar, this the bullshit they resort to.
This is a handwritten letter from my boss. I would like to commend the employees of the criminal division who participated so capably in connection with the investigation. My deepest appreciation for a job well done. Sincerely yours, J. Edgar Hoover. In accordance with Bureau instructions, all inquiries from news media should be answered that no further comments should be made.
I met Frank Smith in 1975. He had been in Attica. We got married. He didn't want to talk about it. And I said, but you know, I'm a female and I need some clarity, not just put it away. So he said that during the time in Attica, he had been beaten in his testicle. He couldn't understand why he was tortured like that. He had nightmares. I remember one night when I woke up and he wasn't in bed, and he was sitting in the corner, just sweating, and I asked him what was he feeling, and he was saying that he had dreamed that he was in Attica, that he was on the table, and they were beating him in his testicle. And I recall one night I woke up and I saw him crawling around on the floor, and he was saying, I have to get out of the yard. I have to get out of the yard. He was sweating and tears were coming down. I felt so helpless because I didn't know what I could do. It would be a regular thing. It was just like a ghost in the house. You never know when something would happen. There was a song he liked a lot, Stormy Weather. Sometimes he listened to it and would make him feel better. Sometimes.
Don't know why there's no sun up in the sky. Stormy weather, yeah. And I just can't seem to get my poor self together. Keeps raining all the time. Stormy weather, yeah. And I just can't get my poor self together. Keeps raining all the time. Since she went away, the blues walked in and met me. If she stays, oh, that rocking chair gon' get me. All I do is pray that the Lord will let me walk in that sun once more. Can't go on. Everything I had is gone. Stormy weather, yeah. And I just can't seem to get my poor self together. Keeps raining all the time. Keeps raining all the time. Keeps raining all the time.
My name is Frank B.B. Smith. The BB stands for Big Black, Judge. I think the best place for me to start is in the morning of the 13th with that sound of a helicopter over the yard and the loudspeaker saying, "Put your hands on top of your head." And at the same time, they was dropping gas and shooting. Everybody's hitting the ground, and the gas started affecting everyone's seeing and hearing and being able to feel any kind of feeling other than death. Then I started hearing my name being called. "Where's Big Black? Where's Black?" And an officer said, "Well, here's Black." Him and others beat me, spread eagle me on the table, Your Honor, nude, telling me that I had cut an officer's nuts out and that they were gonna cut mine out. An officer was standing in front of me with a sword in his hand and threatening me that they were gonna cut my nuts out. They said to just lay on that table, nude, with a football on my chest, and if that would fall, that they were going to kill me. Do you know something? I wish it had fallen and that they did it. And at that time, that's why my heart was feeling, Judge. And when I'm laying on that table, people on this catwalk on top were spitting on me, dropping lit cigarettes on me and dropping the hot shell casings out of the guns as they fired them. And I'm constantly getting that I did a castration on a correction officer. It was a Monday, Your Honor. We call it Bloody Monday. Then after laying on the table for 4-5 hours being threatened and being talked about castration, poked and burnt, I had to walk through the gauntlet. They had glass on the floor. I got beat, fell to the floor. I could hardly stand up, and I'm trying to get through it, to get someplace where I can really feel like I'm something other than just a piece of meat somebody could just violate, and I couldn't do nothing about it. And then they busted my head open, Judge, and I got just about unconscious. And the next thing I know, I'm lying spread eagle on the floor with a person straddling me with a shotgun pointed down, telling me, "Open your eyes because we are gonna kill you." Even today, I have nightmares. I have flashbacks. I wake up in the middle of the night on the floor, crawling, trying to figure out how to get out of the yard. It's all right to me if I cry about it, cause I gotta let it out, cause there's so much in me. I would think about it. I would dream about it. I can't name one night when I sleep the whole night. And that's the fact, so help me. That's the truth. I need to talk about it because it's right for me to explain to people exactly what happened, and I don't want to do it, but I know I got to do it because they need me to know. They need to know what happened. I get those flashbacks. It comes to me. I was being threatened and being told that if that football fell, they was gonna kill me. I was scared, but I kept praying and I kept having the feeling that I just had to live, and I needed to live so that I could let everyone know exactly what happened at Attica, to get the real story of who was criminal and who was victims.
FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover. September 15th, 1971. Urgent extremist matters. Students of Cornell plan to hold a memorial on Thursday, September 16th next for their brothers that were massacred. Bobby Seale, Black Panther Party chairman, to speak. Blank was advised that Seale would contact him. He furnished his unlisted number as 655-546-3604.
The New York Times, September 21st, 1971, Elliot L.D. Barkley, one of the slain leaders of the Attica prison revolt, received a hero's funeral here in a historic church in which Harriet Tubman and Frederick Douglass had fought for freedom. Now, many in the throng that overflowed into the streets dabbed at their eyes with handkerchiefs as ministers praised the young man's valor and idealism. As the coffin was carried into and out of the 142-year-old church, a group of blacks gave the clenched fist salute and raised the black, green, and red flag of Negro nationalism.
To FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover, urgent extremist matters. Black Panther Party Cleaver faction is in possession of a list of prisoners that were killed at Attica and has contacts for the families of these prisoners. An individual named Siad is contacting funeral homes to ask that they give slain prisoners free burials. Huh.
Elliot L.D. Barkley is a martyr. This young man gave his life to end a man's inhumanity to man. L.D. reached for a star. Now, some of us today would like to believe that such stars as justice, humanity, and dignity cannot be so far away they cannot be reached. The last thing he said to me was, remember what we're doing here.
Freedom. Oh, freedom, freedom over me before I be a slave. I'd rather be buried anywhere, somewhere in my grave. Then I'm going home to live with my God. Hey, oh, freedom. I'm all over you, yeah. Freedom, freedom over me. I'll tell you before I be anybody's slave. I'd rather be buried anywhere, somewhere in my grave. Then I'm going home to live with my God. Hey, oh, freedom, freedom all over me. Freedom, freedom, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, freedom, freedom over me. Freedom all over me. I'll tell you before I I'd rather be buried anywhere, somewhere in my grave. Then I'm going home to live with my God. Yeah.
September 24th, 1971. Urgent to FBI Director Hoover. Extremist matters. Funeral services for slain inmates from Attica Correctional Facility to be held in Brooklyn. Numerous groups, including Republic of the New Africa and Black Panther Party, listed as co-sponsors. Civil unrest.
On the lips of almost every person in America is that strange word, Attica. The stormtroopers were determined to have their blood bath, and now the massacre has happened. It cannot be undone. Those people were murdered on the direct orders of Governor Rockefeller and President Nixon. The fight for human dignity of those inmates, black, brown, and white, must be carried forward by all of us who call ourselves human beings. The torch of liberation has been lit. Afeni Shakur, Black Panther activist, mother of the 3-month-old Tupac Shakur.
Attica is me. Attica's a large part of my life. Attica's not just Attica State Prison. Attica's my everyday life. It's your everyday life. Attica's an institution. It's an education department, it's libraries, it's school, it's a community center. It's a hospital. Attica's everything. It's about people's rights and whether or not they have rights. It's about equality. And whether I avoid it or whether I take it on, it is still a part of me. I'm a part of whatever problem it is within our society, and so are we all a part of the problem and the solution? So if I run away from it, I can't hide from it. It's still something that's a part of me. Now, how do I erase the nightmares and the thoughts of what happened to me in Attica? I don't have to speak about Attica. It's there. I feel it. You might not see it. You looking at a big person sitting here with that, and I have some in-depth feelings about what happened to me, and it's going to be there, and there's nothing anybody can do to erase that, and I expect that that's all right. You know, really, it's all right. And so I speak about Attica because Attica is a part of me. I have a message, and I try to give it to our young people, and I try to give it in an honest way. So help me God, without any mass manipulations, exactly how it is. And that's what happens with me, with Attica. Frank Smith, May 29th, 1997.
Attica in 71 is a picture of what can happen to you. Think about that, because it's real. It's not just the past, it's the present, it's the future. It's all of us. The state made up its mind one day in 71 that they were going to kill people, and they did it. They did it with 2,000 police, sheriff deputies, National Guard. They murder people. The state never admitted that they kill people. Don't believe me? Go to the library and read about it.
And the sad part about it, the struggle continues. Attica is me. Yeah. Attica is you. Yeah, yeah. Attica is all of us. My, oh my. And the sad part about it, the struggle still continues.
50 years later, they never admitted that they kill people. And they're doing it on a grander scale now. They're doing it globally now. You gotta understand, it's no game. It's your life, and it's real.
Attica is something good to know about because it's a reality of what can happen again today, tomorrow, the day after, next week, next month, 10 years from now. That's what could happen, and it will, because they did it already and they got away with it. If they can get away with what they did to us, and we just a grain of sand in history, can you imagine what they can feel when they get away with it? Don't go to sleep on them. If you do, they're gonna gobble you up. They're gonna disappear you. Don't believe nothing they say. Believe that they can and will do anything to anybody because they feel they got a right to do it. September 13th, 2021 is the 50th anniversary of Attica. 50 years later, it is still going on. That's the system. If it happens again and you don't know about it, then that's on the system. But if it happens again and you know about it, that's on you. Carlos Rocha, 2021. Attica is every prison.
And every prison is Attica.
Attica means
Fight back!
Thank you all so much. Thank you to the performers. I'm going to let Carlos speak for a minute and then give the performers a chance to talk about what Attica meant to them as they put this piece together, and then ask you for your comments and questions. So, Carlos, here. Okay, turn around.
Wow. Here we are again. We live this, you know, every day. easy. But we got to try to do better, man. You know, we got to try to do better. We got to try to stop what the state is trying to do to people. You know, it ain't easy. They're gonna come at us. They're gonna do everything to us. You know, but we got to make it work. Attica is all of us. Thank you.
Okay, we're going to open things up to the audience in a minute, but I just want to give the actors who've been working on this project for quite some time a chance to talk about what Attica means to them, what it meant to them to perform in this piece. Naomi.
Oh, well, thank you, Professor. I am just so thrilled to be here this evening. I am, and just to see so many faces. I'm a lover of people. I love people. Attica, just to know about the history of Attica, I've been home now for 3 years. Thank you. I served 37 years straight in the penitentiary. A lot of times when I say that, I have to clarify because people say, you did 37 years, well, she must have killed somebody. Well, I didn't kill anybody, but I was with someone that did, and in the state of Pennsylvania, we were both given a life sentence. So I've been home 3 years now. I worked for the Lieutenant Governor of Pennsylvania, but now he's Senator Fetterman. So the strange part about, see, you never know what God can do. He can do anything because this is the man that on his board, he helped me to come home and then he hired me. So that was just a blessing, you know, and so now I'm a commutation specialist and I help other residents that are on the inside serving life sentences and long term. I help them fill out their papers, talk to the family members, go to their hearings when Harrisburg opens back up again, and just try and bring them home because there are a lot of people that are deserving of second chances. And when I speak about how God just has a way of doing things, see, I was at one time one of those persons. I thought, well, if a person is in jail, they must have did something now. You know, but I didn't know that so many good people are on the inside. I met some of the most beautiful women that I could ever meet in a lifetime right on the inside. People that are deserving of a second chance, you know, and so that's why I love my job because I get to give back and I get to help these people to come home, you know, with their families, you know, let people at least be able to die with people that love them. And speaking of dying, I just want to say this, you know, I love to talk, I love people to know about me. Well, I just got out of the hospital, and I don't want to be emotional. It's been a month now. So I went to the hospital. In fact, I was here in New York, and I thought I had food poisoning. And I said, well, something's wrong with me. I got to go to the hospital now. I hate doctors. So I had to really been sick to say I'm going to the hospital. So I get back to Philadelphia, and I go to the hospital. Well, they kept me for 9 days. And the doctors came back and talked to me. There were so many of them around my bed, and I'm like, well, what are they doing here? Well, anyway, I was diagnosed with breast cancer and lung cancer. So this is something that I'm going through right now. I'm not getting treatment yet because they're still doing testing on me. I get a PET scan Wednesday. I just had a mammogram Friday. So this is some of what I'm going through now. And that is another reason that I'm just so grateful to be here, to be able to just be amongst the living. I'll put it like that. And to just let people know about people on the inside. There are people like me on the inside, like Carlos and the rest of these guys that are on the inside that deserve that second chance. So didn't mean to go there. My son says I'm morbid because I just love talking about death. But it's not that I love talking about death, but I know that we're all pilgrims and we're all passing through. So, and this life is not promised, and so now I'm really, some of the things that I was still taking for granted, I don't take it for granted anymore, I just really, I'm just loving life. I'm loving life. I'm grateful for the second chance and just so grateful to be here today. So I got all off the subject of Attica, didn't I?
Thank you, Naomi. That's okay.
Okay, love you.
Okay.
Love you, Carlos. Love you guys.
Good evening, and thank you so much for coming to the performance. My name is Eddie Torres. I'm also an assistant professor of practice of theater at Wesleyan University with Professor Jenkins. However, before I came over to the East Coast, I'm originally from the South Side of Chicago. I spent my whole life there. I spent 20 years of my life being a criminal defense investigator with the State Appellate Defender's Office, working on death penalty cases on the side of the defendants. And one of the reasons why I'm here is because I lost my job because we got rid of the death penalty in Illinois. But I do. It's something I'm very proud of, but working on this project with Professor Jenkins and all these wonderful, beautiful people here has been an amazing thing for me because I do understand, although I'm not formally incarcerated, I've been on the inside defending the folks who are incarcerated. And let me tell you, there are a lot of innocent people in those jails that don't need to be there. So I want to thank you for your love and for your inspiration for coming here tonight. And the fight does continue, and Carlos and the guys here at Attica, my soul and spirit is with you. And there are a lot of people in this world that are with you too. So we're going to continue the fight. Thank
you. And Eddie didn't say it, but he's performing now off Broadway at Playwrights Horizon in the play Downstate, which is another play about prison that has a lot to say.
Thank you, Rob.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dini Rizrialetiani. I'm a faculty member at Yale University under the Macmillan Center International Studies. I came to this play also very grateful the invitation of Professor Ron Jenkins. I've been involved with some other projects that he had done, and I'm so grateful. This one particularly very special to me. I see coming from the perspective of educators, also teachers. I work in the area of curriculum studies, curriculum history, wrestle with the questions of what is meaningful to be taught in school, and also working with the pedagogy of memory and how students, how the young generation have to also know the truth, and what do we do about that in education with the meaning of everything. And I came in also to work as an artist. I'm a dancer, and I think it's always like our body is the memory. It holds the memory, it holds the history, right? And hearing this is also part of the dancing through the words and the pain and everything that we're going through. It's meaningful. I feel it's very important work that we have to share with each other, and I'm so grateful to be able to work with all of you guys. So much to learn. And I think it's an invitation for all of us to continue the work as well. Whether we're an educator, professor, artist, or just like regular people, they have the meaning, right? And we have the fight to fight. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dario Pena, and also grateful to be here with these wonderful human beings. I met Professor Ron Jenkins while I was incarcerated at Sing Sing many years ago. And, we worked on a project revolving around Dante's Divine Comedy, in particular Dante's Inferno. And the professor, we just put together a wonderful performance for his students at Wesleyan. And when I was released from prison about 3 years ago, the professor met me at Times Square immediately and said, "We got to get to work." And I said, "Wow." And true to form, I've been working with him ever since. Even during COVID, when everything was locked down, we were working online with his students, doing Dante's Inferno's workshops. And one of the promises that I made to myself prior to being released from prison was to give back to society, because I was a destructive force in society when I was young. I took someone's life, and I did 25 years for that. So, when that remorse hit me really hard, and I said to myself, I have to definitely make amends, or attempt to make amends. And since I've been released from prison, I've had the opportunity to serve society in many ways. I worked with the Test and Trace Corps for 2 years throughout the entire pandemic. Definitely helped save many lives, people who were on their last leg, who I had to call the ambulance for. I was a community engagement specialist, so I visited people at their homes. I worked at most of the pop-up testing sites throughout the city, and definitely worked with, helped to save a lot of lives, and worked hand in hand with many other individuals that did the same, and I was so grateful for that opportunity. Now, I work at Columbia University at the Center for Justice. I work with a program called Justice Through Code, which is an online and nationally based full-stack software engineering program that serves legal system impacted people. So what we do is we try to create a pathway for individuals to get a dignified career in the tech industry. So that's a job that I'm definitely in love with. Several of my colleagues are here. Sandra Navali from the Tamer Center for Social Enterprise, Archana, who has been definitely a mentor to me, and Hattie Bestul. So some of my colleagues are here definitely, and Geraldine especially, who's kind of like a surrogate mother to me. But to get to the point, Attica is of special significance to me because when I was incarcerated in 1994, I was on Rikers Island, and I went up to Greenhaven prison in 1996. And I remember when I went to the mess hall on from September 9th to September 13th, everyone, well, not everyone, but the majority of the guys who were incarcerated there went to the mess hall dressed fully in greens, and nobody ate. So everyone used those dates from the 9th to the 13th, which is the period for the revolt, to show their respect and appreciation for all the individuals that sacrificed their lives and their well-beings to provide all the privileges that were given to prisoners in New York State after that revolt happened. And the reason why it's so significant today is because, like you heard here tonight during the play, Carlos O'Shea's words, many of these things have been taken away. Why? Because guys in the prison system have forgotten about the sacrifices that those before us made. Guys, the gangs came into the prison system and kind of separated the unity. There was a unity in there amongst the prisoners, and that no longer exists. Now you have a bunch of gangs that are warring with each other, and as a result, the system is taking everything away little by little. All the privileges that were afforded to the state are being taken away systematically, and they're still being taken away. So, it's important that we get this message out, not only to guys in the system, but even to society, because if they did it to guys in prison, they can also do it in society, and they have done it in society in many different ways and gotten away with it. So people need to be conscious of the rights that we have as citizens in this country to fight for what we believe in and to make sure that our government is respecting those rights. So thank you all for coming here tonight.
Hello, guys. My name is my name is B.L. Sherrill. I'm honored to be here, and what motivated me or inspired me to do this project is a lot of reasons, but the main one is that the songs for me kind of wrote themselves. When I was 17 years old, I was involved in a police-involved shooting. I was shot numerous times, and I survived, and I was rewarded by going to prison for it, because I shot back. But I'm here, and when Big Black talked about the gauntlet, and he talked about the glass on the ground for a long time, that was the only thing that I remembered from this shooting that I was involved in. So a lot of the material that I used in this play was very, very natural. I felt compelled, it was my honor and my duty to, amplify their voices. So when I was 17, I went to prison, did 10 years. Actually, I was incarcerated with the beautiful Simply Naomi, and she was like my grandmom in there. And she taught me a lot about music and song structure and how to write with my guitar, because she was the resident superstar at the prison that we were at. And when I came home, I began to do my music career, and I actually started a nonprofit. Well, I'm the co-executive director. I didn't start it. But I'm co-executive director of a label called Dodgem Crow Records. We are the first nonprofit record label for prison-impacted musicians in the United States. And, it's always a dream come true every day when I get to work with, different artists such as Simply Naomi, who I didn't think was ever going to get out. And now she's out, and we're on the road, and we gig together all the time. And my elders, I just have supreme respect. My grandma raised me, and it's very important to me to make sure that these guys' stories is out. Also, a lot of the demands are not met, and they weren't asking for much, and we deal with a lot of these issues now, even still today, within the state prison. So I think it's really important, until some of these things are achieved, that we keep talking about it. Those list of demands that I put in the song were actually on their list, and I chose those ones because some of them are relevant to me personally, but also because these are fair things that we're asking for. A lot of people just want a fair shot, and we all could reintegrate pretty positively. We can make a positive impact on the world if we just get that chance. So I'm blessed to have done that and to continue doing that. And God bless you, gentlemen. Thank you guys for allowing me to amplify y'all stories. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. I have cards if you guys want to scan them and sign up for my email list, please. I will pass them out later.
Is this on? Is it on? My name is Akil Shakur, and 51 years ago, I was 22 and I was in Attica. I was there during the, about uprising and everything. I was shot. I was one of the first people sent to the box. I didn't receive any medical attention until after they started letting people back into prison, because what they did was they wasn't letting anybody in. Lawyers, anybody, except for the National Guards and state troopers. And I was one of the persons that one of my wounds got affected. So when the lawyers came in, they got me medical attention. And they had the doctors from my Memorial Hospital come to Attica. And there was a couple of us in the box that needed medical attention who was shot and didn't get any medical attention until the time the lawyers came in. I've been out of jail now for 30-something years, but I'm still in touch with the things that go on in there. You know, like they say, Attica is all of us. I just want to thank you guys. Man, you know, like, there's not much I can say about what happened during the riot because you said it all and everything you did tonight. But I just like to thank everyone for coming, you know, for still being interested in what's going on because like they say, things get worse now from what I understand, from what I hear. I have a co-defendant who's the director of this program called RAP, and he's in touch with everybody up there. And things are worse now. They have these gangs up there that's going in there and they fighting each other. So the people, the correction officers don't have to do anything but just sit back and wait. But anyway, we thank you for being here tonight. You know, I wasn't expecting to say anything. They asked me if I could say something, so I said, yeah. I know Carlos, you know, and we have an organization called the Attica Memorial Foundation, if you want to be involved in that, you know. The president came with me tonight, but he left. He has a wife that's not feeling well, so he had to take care of her. But other than that, I appreciate you guys being here tonight. And once again, I want to thank you guys for putting on such a good act. I mean, it was excellent, especially stormy weather.
Thank you, Akil. Okay, now, if there's anyone from the audience who wants to comment or ask a question, please come up because we're recording this, so come up and speak in the microphone.
Hello, everyone, and hello to you all as well. My name is Jermel McClure, and I'm a second-year law student at Columbia Law, currently working on a podcast that is centered around theater as a ritual for reentry, and I feel so moved by this production. So again, thank you so much. This is like really probably one of the most moving theatrical experiences I've had in my life, and I've always been very interested in theater. The first question I have of two is for however many of you all feel comfortable answering it, really centered around what lessons you all learned as you prepared and learned more about Attica and put this production together.
Okay, anybody? That's for anybody.
Well, I learned that the legal mail in prison, when we get legal mail, they can't open it. That's the only mail that we get that they can't open, and that's because of the Attica uprising. That was one of the demands that they had, and you know, because of that, I felt like it made me feel great that everything wasn't in vain. Something was accomplished. That's very important, that legal confidentiality. So I was, you know, really proud of that for them. And also, I learned that, you know, obviously, I have trauma with the police shooting thing, but it unlocked a little more memories for me as I was reading the testimony of what they experienced. It kind of made me remember things that I didn't remember before because I was trying to I wanted y'all to feel whatever was happening with them. So it made me like tap in. I had to think about that shit, which I hate thinking about, but I went there and it unlocked some stuff.
For me, it was learning that everything that came out of these Nixon tapes, the FBI files, the witness testimony was actually verbatim, meaning that, you know, when you often hear about things, you know, they're usually exaggerated, or thing that, you know, the truth is sometimes bent a little, but to know that these things were actually said, you know, and we know the power of words. It was just so, you know, it kind of like touches you, you know, it makes you angry, it makes you frustrated, it makes you want to stand up and do something about it. So this is kind of like what affected me the most in wanting to make sure that this message was heard by as many people as possible so that people can see and understand that this is not just something that happened in the past. This is something that continues happening over and over in different ways and, you know, in different forms. And we have to be conscious of this because it can affect any one of us at any time. I have a friend here. He's a brother. He's like my brother from another mother. His name is John Adrian Velasquez, and he did served over 24 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit. You know, his sentence was commuted by Governor Cuomo before he was removed from office, and now he's out here today, and he's one of the reasons why I feel so passionate about this, because I was in prison with him and I felt his pain. You know, he's my brother and he's here tonight. You know, and so he's one of the reasons why I do this.
The other thing I wanted to ask you all was what you recommended folks in the audience here tonight, but also folks who will tune in years and weeks to come. How do you recommend folks approach identifying the role that they should play in the larger fight against this whole system, right? Obviously, so many types of oppression were discussed and unearthed in this production. I think that it's sometimes hard to figure out where you fit in the fight, and so how would y'all recommend folks identifying where they fit in?
What do you like to do? What do you genuinely like to do? What do you enjoy? Whatever that thing is, apply it to help other people.
And could I just say this? I'm not going to be long-winded, Professor. I really think that people need to get to know people on the inside. You can like volunteer and really go into prisons, prison society, different kinds of volunteers. You can go into prison, literally meet people that you never met before, and then you kind of get a feel, be inside of the prison, you know, to get a feel of how we must feel being there 24 hours. Or take yourself and put yourself in your bathroom and just lock the door. But look how much stuff you have in your bathroom, though. And we didn't have that in our cells. But just put yourself in there for 23 hours out of a day. I bet most of you just really couldn't do it. You'd be like, I'm not staying in this bathroom like this. You know what I mean? But that's what we have to put up with, being in those cells. So sometimes you try to put yourself in someone else's, you know, place to really get a feel of what it might really feel like. And then, and I'm not wishing anything on anybody, but you never know. You never know where this life leads you. You never know. You know what I mean? And suppose it happens to you, you would want somebody to be there to help you, or just somebody just to listen to you, just somebody's shoulder that you can cry on. It really just means a lot. So my advice to those that have never been on the inside, get involved and watch who you vote for too, and get out and vote for real.
Yes.
You know, put some of them, find out who those judges are that you're putting there to sending our children to jail. You know what I mean? Find out who these people are that you're putting in there that are going to be in charge. You know, so do a little research. Okay, I'm done.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. The name of Allah, the compassionate, merciful. My name is Dr. Muhammad. I'm a human rights activist. Allah has blessed me. I've never been incarcerated by the pigs. I thank Allah for that. And one of my attorneys, I have 3 attorneys that I respect so dearly, is Attorney William Kunstler, may Allah bless him. You have Attorney Lynn Stewart, may Allah bless her, and Attorney Chokwe Lamoma. They passed away, but they're strong, and they never back down when I needed help. And Attorney Alton Maddox, you know, may Allah bless him also. I have an attorney now, Attorney Sheikh Hassan Ibn Abdullah from my master in Jersey, but we say free them all, jail the pigs. Free them all, jail the pigs. Free them all. And we say free Imam Jamil Al-Amin. This is the brother that I grew up with. I gave him his shahada. He's a friend of mine. He's innocent. He's been locked down for 23 years. We're going to get him out. Mumia, he's the only man that I know that served 20 years in the hole, came out saner than many of us. He's still sane. Got to get him out. He's innocent. The pigs are guilty. I'm not afraid to say that. The FBI are criminals, you know, and the goal of pigs is to arrest men of color. Arrest, but Allah blessed me to not be arrested by the pigs. I'm 71 years old, and I was up there outside with Attorney William Kunstler supporting our brothers at Attica. By Allah, we came up there by a bus. You know, we didn't have a car at that time, but we say free them all. And Akil Shakur, I have so much respect for Akil. He survived it. You know, you have a Big Black, good friend of mine. He survived it. So we have to support our brother. You got to find a prisoner of war or a political prisoner and support him or her. We say, hands off Assata Shakur. Hands off Assata Shakur, you know? She's innocent. The pigs are guilty. The pigs are guilty. And the pig that got it on the highway, who cares? We care about the pigs. We care about Sunyata. He's out. We support Sunyata. 40 years. 40 years of legal. When they put Sunyata in a door cage for 18 months. I saw that door cage in Trenton State Prison when I went to visit to get the cook by there. 18 months he was there. They couldn't break him, so they sent him to a federal dungeon. Zayd, my brother, was killed on the highway. The pig tried to kill Zayd. Zayd took the pig out. Took him out good. Who cares about the pigs? I say free them all. Jail the pigs. I support the freedom of our political prisoners. I have no fear. The FBI are criminals. They are criminals. The cops are not with me and you in the struggle. They are criminals. And I'm not afraid to say that. You know what I'm saying? That I thank Allah for Akil and Brother Carlos, all the brothers and sisters that stood firm and walked out of those dungeons and still doing work in the community. I respect them. May Allah bless them. You have a lot of Negroes that come out, you understand that, and go right on back and send them selling poison to the community. They can go to hell. Find a brother or sister that's a political prisoner or prisoner of war and support them. We deal with two right now, Imam Jamil and Mumia. Free them all, jail the pigs.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Takesha Newton. Hi, how are you? It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Lumumba. First, I would like to say I am very grateful that Sundiata is home, whom he just mentioned. And I am even more grateful that my executive director, Sophia Elijah, is one of the attorneys who brought Sundiata home, and she is here today in the audience, and I am calling her out. Thank you. So I am with Alliance of Families for Justice. I am the Community Organizing Fellow, and Sophia Elijah is our Executive Director. And to my right is my comrade, Lumumba Bindeli, who is the coordinator of our platform, Shut Down Attica. This campaign is new right now. We are driven with our collective comrades from other organizations who have already laid out the pavement for us regarding Attica. So we are here this evening to announce to you our campaign, which is Shut Down Attica. And that's exactly what we'll be doing. So please follow us on our social media platform. We already have our page up and running on Instagram. It is Shut Down Attica. So make sure you follow us and get caught up on anything that we've already accomplished this year. And you can also find information about our Shut Down Attica platform on our The Alliance of Families for Justice on Facebook page. Is there anything else you'd like to mention?
Yes, boss. Thank you all for this presentation today. Thank you, Professor, for pulling this together. This is absolutely inspiring and meaningful. For me, I joined AFJ to do this work in the spirit and memory of Akil Ajundi. I met Akil when I was a young guy and met Big Black a few years after that. And whenever we hear the stories of what happened 51 years ago, we know it, but oftentimes don't say it. And I want to say what we know, which is we have a mandate. We have a mandate, an inescapable mandate to do all that we can to shut down Attica. Full stop. Full stop. And so we're doing this campaign, and we hope that you will join us in this trek so that we can celebrate one day on the closing of this horrible institution that we did what was supposed to be done. And so we invite you to join this. The website is shutdownattica.org. We invite you to join the social media handles, and we have a full campaign that's about to be jumping off. We did a 6-day virtual series program. We got a whole lot more that we're going to be doing, and we need your help. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have there's a microphone over there for people on that side. We have a reception. What? We have a reception where you're all invited and we can continue the conversation, but we have time for one or two more quick comments.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to come and really say thank you for the production. It was very heartwarming. I took several notes, and it reminded me of, to all of the survivors of Attica. My son, the eldest of 6, is here. He invited me to this program. And when he did a bid, I never realized the trauma that it causes a family when a family member is incarcerated. So it was, let's just say I did a lot of crying and praying, right? I couldn't watch prison movies. Orange is the New Black was, popular. My friends kept saying, watching my coworkers. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't. My son is doing a bid and I can't watch that. It's heart-wrenching for me. But I thank God. I thank God. I raised my children in the Bronx, 6 total, and my son is the eldest, and we survived. I'm here today, and I just thank God that my son made it out in one piece. He's working with Exodus Production, and they do a lot of wonderful things for inmates, for the community, and it has inspired me to now want to share with others to let them know, don't give up on your family members. Don't give up on those that are incarcerated, right? I was a horrible teenager growing up. I gave my family hell. At a very early age, I was 12 years old and I was doing what I wanted to do, but I thank God for the turnaround. My life turned around. They said I would never make it. My kids would never make it. I was shot, sliced. I remember 32 years ago this month, a gun being held to my face. I should have died, but it was by the grace of God that I lived and I'm still here. My whole life turned around. So I didn't have to go to prison to turn around, but when my son went to prison, it changed our family dynamic, but it made us better people. All 6 of my children are gainfully employed. I have 7 grandchildren and 1 on the way. And when I say to God be the glory, so thank you all for sharing. Thank you for the production. Thank you for all the work that you do. And just keep doing it. I'll keep you in my prayers, my sister. And God bless you all, too. God bless you all. Carlos, God bless you. Thank you, everyone.
Hi, my name is Linda Atkinson. I've been with RTA for, 19 years, I think. I'm an old buddy of this guy's. When you said you want people to know, the people that are inside, I'm connected to HBO. My husband's a documentary filmmaker. I want to make a film called 5 Years Out, because there's so many films about people just coming out, but I want people to know what people are doing when they've been out and what they're up to. And I think that would help people know who you are. And so anybody that wants to come up to me and give me the name and talk to me, this is my project, 5 Years Out, okay?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Wilfredo Lavaquente, and I just returned home
after doing 20 years about 15 months ago. It's real humbling to sit here in front of these men and just know the sacrifices that they made. Everybody in the room that has their degree that did over 10 or 15 years, everybody stand up right now. So at one time or another, I put in a lot of work in these classrooms at Sing Sing Correctional Facility with a lot of these men. We were the first of many, and there's gonna be a lot more behind us, and we need to start changing the narrative. The culture has to be easier for everybody that comes out in order to make it easier for everybody that comes out, because that way it's easier to provide housing and services to an already broken system. Because everybody wants to talk about what's wrong with the system, but I fight to make sure that there's solutions to the system. And that's why we fight every day with a lot of my comrades that are here, and also with Pena, to try to get people that don't have their education like us to be able to maximize the amount of services that government should be providing, because there's already governmental institutions that failed us long before we did any of our time. But those are the underlying socioeconomic conditions that no one talks about. So with me, while I embrace and always remember Attica, one thing I never forget is Sing Sing. I never forget Green Haven. I never forget Elmira. I never forget what I went through. Because even though everybody sensationalizes Attica, there's no cans no more. The package ban is right now relevant all over the state. They're about to start photocopying mail. What do you tell a 5-year-old that is looking at their significant other, or their parent, or anybody, their loved one, that they got the finger or return to sender on a letter? You can't explain that the mail has to be photocopied, and they sat there with their bare hands and they did an arts and crafts project to send the person inside. So while we go ahead and we talk about Attica, we talk about these things, Docs keeps repealing Holcomb back the package ban. She's in office now. I'm ready for the whole shitstorm that's gonna be behind that. Nobody likes to talk about those things because they affect people that we're not really sensationalizing or talk about or cultivating their voice right now. So when we remember Attica, just please be mindful there are people suffering every single day in prisons all over New York State. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we're gonna continue. Did you have a comment? Let's make this be the last one, because we're going to continue the conversation. We were happy to talk to you. Thank you all for the great work that you're doing. The reception is up. Who knows where the reception is? Geraldine? Up there to the left? Okay. All right. So we go upstairs to the left. Oh, out here to the left. Okay. All right. And then we'll just have these last. Do you have a comment too? Okay, all right, so these last two, and then we're going to all talk together at the reception.
Hi, guys. I just want to tell you thank you, Naomi, BL, Carlos, for your stories, the actors that were able to embark on such a harsh journey, because I know what it meant emotionally to go down that journey, because I, too, am formerly incarcerated. And my family, too, went down that journey with me. And that family was strangers. It was lawyers. It was people that came to volunteer. It was religious organizations that came in to bring me a scripture. It was people that came to educate me. It was strangers that I met inside the prison that took me in and said, let's help you change your vocabulary a little bit. Let's help you walk a little bit straighter. It was that family that was able to help me find my voice and able to help me articulate the things that kept me in bondage. And I just want to thank you for finding our voice so special to amplify it, and for remembering those people that helped you, and for helping BL along the way. I just want to thank you again. And I think that you asked a question earlier about what it is, and it is a hodgepodge of things. It's the technical pieces where you got to go out and vote, and you got to know who your politicians are and your court advocate is. But it's really the human piece where you do things outside of the scope of your job just because you want to help somebody else. And I just want to thank you.
Thank you, baby.
My name's Herbert Morales. I'd like to thank you guys for, I was in Attica 3 times. I did 33 years, 4 months. I've been home over 5 years. That was it. I came home, I went to work for the Correctional Association, which is the watchdog agency that watches over New York State prisons. I think I wrote maybe like 9 reports. Not one of them went to Albany. One time, we had all the votes to get access to any camera, video, audio that's in New York State prison. The current director of the Correctional Association, I'll say it here, Jennifer Case, she hates prisoners. She actually negotiated against that. You know, all these things what Fredo was just talking about, history is repeating itself. It's repeating itself right now. It's gonna be worse. It's gonna get worse. The gangs that are in prison, yeah, there's no unity anymore. I remember, if anybody knows what a 5%er is, it's a person who thinks he's God. It's usually a black person, a black African American, and they would hate white people. They would call them the devil. And I remember seeing white people, white inmates being pulled over and the black guys stopping and they're like, what's up? Yo, that's our brother. We ain't going nowhere till you finish searching him. That unity is gone. That's gone because of the gangs they have, Latin kings that shouldn't never even came to New York. That was based on a lie. But we're being infiltrated even by these outside organizations here, the directors of some of these outside nonprofit organizations that are supposed to be looking out for our interests and our rights. They're not. They're not. They're selling out. I left that. I couldn't stand it. I resigned. 9 reports I wrote. I wrote a report about Sing Sing Correctional Facility because the warden, they actually did the right thing when it came to the pandemic. He instituted creative ideas to protect people. She didn't like that. She didn't send that report up. I wrote reports about Shawangunk. I wrote Bedford Hills, the abuses that were going on over there. Not one of them, not one report went to Albany, not one of them. So, this play here, the saying, if you don't pay attention to history, it's gonna repeat itself. It is repeating itself. So get involved. Because if you don't, you got nobody to blame but yourself when it happens to you or your loved one.
Okay, thank you all so much for your comments, for your presence. Please join us at the reception and continue the conversation. Thank you.